Today, I'm going to show you how secretly easy painting yellow actually is. Yo dog, Kenny Boucher here, Next Level Painting, hitting you up on the literal best of all days on this glorious Friday in the Beats Lab of Hollywood, California. Got another painting tutorial for you. Today we're going to be exploring yellows and oranges in a very autumn-themed Tyranid scheme. This is something we worked on maybe last year. We're coming back to it. 'Tis the season to run some autumn schemes on some things, some fall colors. We're going to be working with yellows and oranges today, and I'm going to show you how to use the airbrush to achieve these effects. But more importantly, I'm going to show you how to make the airbrush do the work for you. We're going to cover a back and forth process of achieving yellow, then orange, and then a yellowy orange. If that makes sense, and if it doesn't, it will very shortly. If you haven't heard, we're live. We do live tutorials twice a week on Twitch. You're not going to want to miss it. That's twitch.tv/next_level_painting. That is where we do the live tutorials. Here on YouTube, what you're watching right now is considered a studio tutorial. It's different. There's movie magic. We think about the stuff, far in advance and how we're going to achieve our goals. When it's live, there's no magic and it's interactive. There's many rewards, there's raffles, there's giveaways, there is a reward store. I urge you to follow the link to the reward store. It's also in the description box. Literally all day, every day, you can just watch, get currency, and spend it on the rewards page. Let's do this thing, guys. Demonic Yellow Army Painter. This is some ancient tech right here. We're gonna do a thin couple of passes with the primer over this resin. Because this resin is very delicate, has some very fine details. You don't want to thick it up. So then we're going to switch to moon yellow. This is the true ancient Chinese technique right here. We're basically treating this yellow primer as a primer. We're not going to just let it ride with this pasty ass yellow. We're going to transform this yellow into a new brighter yellow with moon yellow from Vallejo. This is a Vallejo game color. It's not an airbrush paint, but we made it airbrush ready. It's got thick pigment. It's glorious. Take a look at that. We're really doing work here. We're transforming this yellow with it's almost a tint. Like we're almost just tinting this yellow with a deeper yellow because the airbrush is going to do such a, higher quality than any primer is. Now you can see under this undercarriage here that it's a lot less established because I didn't want to get all thick in there. Like you don't want to just undo these natural details of these Forge World models. So we went real light, real thin over those details with the enamel primer to get the protection, to get the stick. But you see now we're using the airbrush to fill in the gaps, to really transform the colors, to start building this yellow up. And you can see, man, look how easy this is. If you said I want a yellow army and I just want to do some fresh edge highlights, look at this. You have a yellow army. It's done. That's simple. Now you can go in and cut the details in. You can do all your low edge highlights, and now you have an Imperial Fist army. But that's not where we're going to stop. This is a Minotaur color. I'm not a huge fan of them, but they have some great colors. Their paints are so thin, they're almost tints. So this is pumpkin orange. We're thinning it up. It's already airbrush ready, but we're going to make it even thinner with flow improver and a little water. And now we're going to just build some transitions in some of these angles, where the leg meets the body, where the tail comes out of the body, we're focusing mainly on the skeleton, the chitin or the chitin armor. I don't know what it is. Basically, he's got armor plates, the carapace, those are going to be red. Everything else is going to be this yellow-orange transition. So we're focusing on the joints, where basically all his limbs meet his body, and we're going to build them up with this pumpkin orange. And you see we get a nice, subtle transition here. Yet again, if you were saying, I want some nice Imperial Fist, or I want this yellow, you can just do this, call it good. Look at this classy, very subtle transition. And you can come back in, cut the details in, do the bolters, all that, and it's yellow. That's simple. Yellow, you can make yellow as complicated as you want or as easy as you want. On a big model like this is my go-to trick right here. I'm always going to use the Army Painter Demonic Yellow. And then I'm going to use the airbrush to reestablish the midtones and back to the shades. When normally we go from shade to highlight with the airbrush, we're doing the literal opposite here. But we will go back and forth. You see, it's all about moving the model around. You want to get the airbrush into the areas. You want to control the angle and the flow. So always remember to move the model into the angle that you need, because the airbrush sort of needs to be level to work. It's gravity fed, guys. So you can't flip your airbrush upside down and expect it to work right. All right, I'm liking where we're heading here. This is making me feel happy inside. Here's the head. I kept the head separate because I knew it would be impossible to airbrush the cowl of this model, the armor recess where the head fits. Like, there's no way we would have gotten in there and done any real details if he was glued in, which is pretty good. Only part we didn't glue in. And we're doing the same protocol here, just building that pumpkin orange up around these edges, trying to make a nice transition, a nice shade. We're not really thinking about what light does here. We're not light scientists. We just like what looks cool. And so far, so good. And like I said, this model is filled with like micro fractures and cool little details. The armor is very realistic, very OG. So far, so good. You can see that pumpkin orange did work. I'm happy with it. We got into all those areas. Kind of look like they're shaded, but not entirely. Some areas look kind of like they're glowing even. Now we're going to use Hazzard Orange, another Minotaur color. This is a great color. We're going to come in, water it down, same protocol, and now we're going to get in deeper. This is a shade. This is even a further step darker. And now we're going to get in those areas even more. There is a big difference between the way a dark color interacts over a light color and then a light color reverse over it. So I like the way the Hazzard Orange goes on over pumpkin orange, because I find that the pumpkin orange doesn't do shit when you're airbrushing it over the Hazzard Orange. So that's why I like to go this backwards shading technique. We're just getting more control. We're getting finer flow as we build these shades up. And we're also working toward a red, because his entire armor, the whole carapace, all the plates, those are going to be red. So Hazzard Orange is great to combo off on that, which is why I'm leaving off on it. I'm letting the Hazzard Orange spill into the areas I know that are going to be red eventually, all day, every day. You got to think about what colors are going to be easier to paint over what colors. So I feel like painting red over orange is easy. Same deal. Let's just get a little bit finer flow over the face, build up some more of those transitions, get in under his head, under his skull there. Looking good. I'm feeling it. And here's what I'm talking about. This armor is going to be red. So I'm just gonna finish it off real quick with a light coat of Hazzard Orange. Look at how easy it is going to be to come in there and paint red over that, because I'm probably going to have to use a paintbrush, let's be honest, to create that crisp edge. No way around it, guys. Airbrush is going to do work here, but not all the work. Okay, let's go back to Moon Yellow real quick. Let's talk about something. We're going to go back and forth. Remember what I said? Dark colors look differently over light colors than light colors look over dark colors. Now what we're going to do is we're going to blend the yellow back into the original pumpkin orange. We're going to create a much brighter effect doing this. This is going to get a nice neutral, like mid-tone. It's basically cheating an extra transition into the transitions by using the same color, but in a different sequence of events, light over dark instead of dark over light. It also helps us eliminate any speckling that we got by going with such a dark color near such a bright color. But obviously, if you always keep the tip clean, you can minimize speckling. And here it is. You can see we're just creating a nice, smooth, flawless transition here. And this is a little bit darker of a yellow because it's going over the pumpkin. And you can see that. Like it's truly reflected in what we're doing here. You can see a little bit of a transition being built up into the yellow. Obviously, this is next level painting, and we got to build even more contrast than that, so you know what we're about to do. And if you don't, no big deal. We're going to take the yellow that's left in the pot, take a little bit of this Snow White, another Minotaur color. We're going to put a couple of drops in the pot. Boom. We're going to gangster gumbo that into gauge, and we're going to create a bright yellow, and we're going to now focus on the midpoints of all of our transitions. You see on every limb, every area, there is a point to where it's clearly meant to be brighter. We're going to just do it and make it brighter, because we're going to make light our bitch right now. We don't care about where it comes from. We decide where it comes from. And on our models, it comes from everywhere. Center of the tail, light. Center of the elbow, light. Bicep light. Elbow light, knee light. Like all day, every day. That's how we do. Knuckle light. Give me some hand light. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I like to do with the airbrush. I like to make it work for me. And we're creating this cool, you know, coruscating, like almost translucent effect. This Tyranid is doing what it do, getting that autumn scheme, like it just came to this planet, fucked everything up. Then the fucking the season started changing and it had to adapt to stay camo while it was fighting. That's what's up. At least that's the theory. So I'm digging it. We're getting a nice transition here, but we got a lot more work to do, guys. Don't worry. First things first, let's jump back to the head, reestablish the same effect. Let's be as efficient with our airbrush as possible here. Create a nice cool transition coming off of his chin, work it back to his jawline. That simple. You want to flip it around, get the back of his head there, make it look nice. All day, every day. Airbrush. Hashtag for the win. And this is what we've done so far, guys. We've built up all that Hazzard Orange there, and this is going to be red. We're going to paint that a nice red and do what we can. And we're going to paint these scything talons green. This tongue thing in his hand green, his hooves green, these tears in his skin green. All that's going to be amazing forest green. It's going to be baller. Now let's take a look at this. Inside his mouth, I'm taking him green, taking some glowing green on that tongue. You know, we're going to get reds on those panels, but green's going to be involved too. Red panels. We're going to get some green in those joints and the green on this talon. It's going to look great, guys. If you like these tutorials, check out Next Level Painting on Patreon. Become a patron of the arts today. We offer early and exclusive access to our videos and a rewards program for different pledge levels. Patreon is PayPal and credit card secure, so you don't have to worry about that. We use 100% of the money to improve our process.